This is a shit show.
You're a shit show.
Thank
and you're
you.
dragging Nico involved. Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck is you?
Don't you see? I'm Big Nick. TikTok guy? Welcome to On the Record with Big Nick. Today's topics are...
Should steroid users be in the Hall of Fame?
I love this topic. Let's go.
Do you use steroids?
If I told you that, I'd have to kill you.
You don't use steroids.
How do you know? I don't use any of that shit. Meat and potatoes. A lot of goldfish.
Should steroid users be in the Hall of Fame?
Alright, so my initial reaction to this is no. Because there is an advantage to being stronger in a non-natural way. Like, you work out, okay, right? So, say that you and I work out, right? You do the same amount of working out I do, you work out just as hard.
Yeah.
You're not on steroids, I'm on steroids. Who's going to get stronger?
You.
Right. You're doing it the natural way, and I'm doing it with steroids.
Yeah.
So, to me, obviously, I'm going to have the advantage. Because if I'm just as good as a player as you, I'm going to beat you out because I'm going to hit the ball harder. I'm going to hit the ball further, which means I'm going to hit more home runs. I'm going to hit more for power. And those little ground balls might be enough to get through the gaps because there's just a little bit more strength to it. Now, let me be very clear. Steroids don't teach you how to hit. Steroids don't teach you baseball IQ. You still got to have that shit.
Yeah.
But if you have all those things and then you add in this, it's like cooking a nice piece of steak and then you add a little bit of salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Just makes it that much better.
Yeah,
so
I know.
me being on steroids would be that much better.
Yeah.
As time has went on, I've kind of just realized that it's not like 2 or 3 people that have done it. There's a huge group of people that have done it. Some have been convicted of it. Some we know took it, just never, was never official. Like O.J. Simpson, we all know he killed his wife, but it was officially he was innocent.
Yeah.
To me, at this point, it doesn't matter. To me now, it doesn't even matter. Like, I can respect the people who say yes, and I can respect the people who say no.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't even bother me anymore. Like, I used to be all like, no way, they cheated the game, blah, blah, blah. But the only reason why I'm kind of backtracking from that now is because there were so many guys doing it. It isn't like we're talking about 2 guys, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
There are so many guys that did it. And I hate to tell people, they're still doing it now. They're just doing it and they can't test for it. There's so much... People think that it's just steroids and HGH. There is so much shit out there that can't even be tested. That maybe it doesn't have the same effects as quote-unquote steroids. But it can make you heal faster. It can make you rebound harder, like recovery, in a non-natural way. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So to me... I'm not going to walk around and say this guy does it, this guy does it, this guy does it. Like in today's game, because there's no proof. Technically, Barry Bonds was never caught taking roids. Everybody knows Barry Bonds was on roids. But everybody knows that he took them. The way that he looked when he was in Pittsburgh to what he looked like when he was in San Francisco,
Yeah.
that shit don't happen naturally.
Yeah.
No, what? Not that fast.
Uh-huh.
And his head was fucking bigger than your fucking than a balloon.
He was tested due to all the accusations, failed the drug test, and never officially came out with a statement saying what had happened.
And that's why his trainer was in jail for all those years, because he never talked.
Greg Anderson?
Greg Anderson, yeah. He spent all kinds of years in prison because he wouldn't talk. Because if he talked, he would have said Barry Bonds took the shit.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds literally said, I'll pay you whatever. Just fucking stay in jail. Like, don't say anything. He didn't rat him out. You never heard about that story?
No. I'm kind of confused here.
How are you confused?
So why is Barry Bonds' trainer in jail? So did he do something like funky with the test or something?
Yes, it says here that reports surfaced that Bond claimed in a conversation that secretly recorded last year that Bond was using an undetectable performance-enhancing drug during the 2003 baseball season.
They wanted to know what was going on with that, and obviously who would know better than his trainer?
Yeah, and the trainer just...
The trainer wouldn't cooperate, so obviously if you don't cooperate with the justice system, you get thrown in jail. It's like if you witness a murder.
Yeah.
and you didn't say shit, but you knew it.
Yeah.
But you were there, and you're like, I'm not talking. They could throw you in jail for obstruction of the peace.
I get it. Yeah. So why wasn't steroids popping up on tests? Is my main question.
Because it's like I said earlier, there's so many different things you could take. There's like I said, there's steroids, there's human growth hormone, there's shit out there in the DR, Cuba, everywhere. That there's shit.
It's hard to just.
It's hard to. It's like coronavirus. You can't. Like there's so many different viruses, you can't fucking contain them all.
Well, nowadays do they have a test for steroids?
Of course they do. But you can have some.
You said that guys didn't get tested now.
They do get tested now, but not nearly as much as they did back in the day. There's all kinds of different shit out there.
I get that, but they don't have a fucking test that just says whether you took steroids
On
or
a
not.
yes,
I don't get the
on
whole
steroids.
undetected shit for.
There's so much
Prevalence.
undetected drugs that are like steroids, but they're not called steroids. You understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, so don't you think they could have figured out by now, like what?
How do you know if you don't know what you're testing for? What if it's called? What if it's called B-roids? What if it's called? I'm just saying. Like I'm not saying that's what it's called. I'm just saying it could be called anything.
So there was. So it was. So they did.
Steroids
There was
legal.
something in his system, but you just don't know what it was.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
But it was illegal. He wasn't supposed to take it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why he failed the drug test. But that you can't convict him of it being called straight out steroids because there's no proof.
Okay.
He could have tested for HGH. He could have tested for a different kind of substance.
Got it.
There's tons of other different substances. I can't tell you what they're called because I don't even know what the hell they are. And here's the thing: as soon as the MLB started to get a testing involved, guys figured out other things to take so they wouldn't fail a drug test. Because they want to have that max performance, recovery, strength, but obviously they don't want to get caught. Because if you get caught, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And they know when they're going to get tested. Some of these guys are like, okay, I can go on it for X amount, then it gets out of my system in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
But you also take a risk with that too, because sometimes the MLB will throw a curveball and you say, we're going to test you right now.
Like nowadays, when they're testing guys for like steroids, if like an undetected substance comes up again, is like the same shit just happening?
So, again, I'm not a scientist nor a lawyer.
Yeah.
But based on what I would say to you would be my best guess is that if you fail a drug test, they just call it a performance-enhancing drug. They won't call it a specific name. Like if you fail a drug test, okay? Say you fail a drug test, but I can't figure out what it is, but I know based on my science that you failed something, something's in your system that's not supposed to be in there, then they'll just put you down as, instead of saying you got caught with steroids, you were tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug. Steroids isn't even like the big thing anymore. If you have any kind of a brain cell, you know that these guys are taking shit. These guys can't play 162 games without something.
Yeah.
Can't happen. Look at the NFL. You're gonna tell me that those guys aren't on steroids? You're gonna tell me guys like a DK Metcalf ain't on something? Really?
He's a fucking
guy's like 6'4", he runs like a 4'3".
Yeah.
He's 225 or something like that, and he fucking runs like a deer.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me he's not on something? He's got like 3% body fat.
Yeah. All right. So, Rob, going back to it, so do you think that Barry Bonds, Pete Rose, or not Pete Rose?
Pete Rose, that was more the gambling.
Yeah, not Pete Rose. Never mind. Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Manny Ramirez. Do you think those guys should be in the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those guys are great players. They were great players before they took the shit. Now, don't get me wrong. Would Barry Bonds' statistics be where they are today? No. Would he have as many home runs? No.
Yeah.
But I still think he would have been a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah, but it's hard to determine that, so I think that's why they're not putting him in the Hall.
Well, I also think they're not putting Bonds in the Hall of Fame because he's a dick. Kurt Schilling will never get in because of his off-the-field political bullshit.
Yeah.
And Barry Bonds will never get in because he's a dick. But I hate to tell you, there's guys in there now that are taking shit. You're going to tell me that Ivan Rodriguez was never on anything? The amount of him catching all the time like that? How do you squat like that for X amount of games a year, year after year after year? He won 12 gold gloves. How the hell did he do it? I mean, again, I am not accusing him of taking some. I'm just saying that it's hard to believe that he didn't take something to help him continue to play. Ricky Henderson, 100%. Ricky Henderson was jacked out of his mind, and he could run like a deer, and I just think he was on all kinds of shit. Again, I am not accusing Ricky Henderson of taking shit. I'm just saying, if you're asking me my opinion, I think he definitely took something. I mean, obviously the big one, too, is I still got to get you that book, Jose Canseco. Talks about, I mean, that's how this whole thing started. He started snitching on everybody. It's like Mike Fears with the sign stealing shit. So guys are in the Hall of Fame with steroids. Would we all agree with that? Why can't Pete Rose go in the Hall of Fame? No. Yes, he gambled. But number one, he gambled as a manager, not as a player.
I think this.
And number two.
Number two, what?
Number two, he's the greatest hitter one of the greatest hitters that ever lived. You can tell me all you want him about breaking rules and shit.
No, I agree.
Like, if we're doing this based on-field performance, he has to go in. I understand there's people out there that said, "Oh, well, he cheated the game, he shaved points and shit." He still hit 4,200. He had 4,200 plus hits.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, do you think that steroids should be legal if everyone's already kind of using them, or is there a way to kind of like?
No, they definitely shouldn't be legal.
Is there a way to control it or not?
Well, I mean, if you get it prescribed by a doctor, they say it's a lot healthier for you than if if you were to inject me with a steroid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you get it through a doctor, like, there are positives to steroids. Like, people who are, like, older and, like, their joints are killing them and shit, and they can take it by a doctor, it definitely helps them.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and say steroids are awful, because they're not.
Mm-hmm.
If those guys didn't take steroids, just think about this for a minute. If guys didn't take steroids, they might not have gotten those big-ass contracts. It's all about money, too.
Mm.
If you didn't take steroids, let's say you were a good baseball player.
Yeah.
But to be a great baseball player, you get probably what? Great deals.
Yeah.
So instead of getting your, 3-year deals for like $10 million a year, now you're making $20, $25 million a year. It's a big fucking difference. It's hard to argue with that. You're trying to make a living. Let's just end it with this. Everybody's going to have an opinion on this. No opinion's wrong, right?
Yeah.
That's why they're called opinions.
Yeah.
So, but just remember this, for those who are anti-steroids. You have every right to be anti-steroids. But just remember one thing. Ask yourself this question. If it got you into the major leagues, if it got you to make millions of dollars a year, and instead of working a 9-to-5 job, you could be playing for professional, you could be playing Major League Baseball and making tens of millions of dollars a year and then get endorsement deals and stuff like that, you wouldn't do it? If you tell me no, I'd love to meet you. I'm saying if you have the skills to play, but it's like we were talking about earlier. Let's say you and I had the same amount of skills.
Yeah.
But I take roids. I'm hitting more home runs and hitting more power. Who's going to get the bigger contract, Casey? That's all I was saying. I'm not saying it's going to make you go from a bum from the street into the major leagues. You still got to put the work in. Okay. I want to be very clear about that.
All right.
I'm saying that if you're the same talent and you're just in the league, just getting by, but maybe you take roids and you're a little better. How many guys, great example is Chris Davis. Chris Davis had 50-something home runs one season. He's never come close to that ever again. How does that happen, Casey? But he's still in the league. Fuck yeah, he was on roids. Or something. He was on something. Think about that. He's a guy that made it to the majors. He's had a pretty shitty career, but he had a couple years that he was not doing bad.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, you start getting off some stuff, and all of a sudden, you're not that good anymore. You're still good. You're still good enough to be a major league player.
Yeah.
But you're not a superstar.
That is interesting.
But you got guys like Barry Bonds who were naturally gifted. Yeah. Those guys, if he didn't take anything, he still would have had a great career. Like, you got to understand, like, it goes both ways. Like, so, you can do it without the roids, or you can do it you can get there, but then you can elevate your game to make yourself better.
Where did the red flag start coming in with Barry? Did his stats just boost up, or just his looks?
I think his physical physique, and then just his amount of home runs he was hitting at a historically scary rate. I think in 2001, he was hitting a home run every, like, 4th or 5th at bat.
If he would have retired after the 1999 season, he would have had Hall of Fame numbers, but would not have been accused because his numbers were like better than everybody's, but not crazy.
Oh, so
there's my point.
Fuck you! I just try to figure it out.
I'm trying to explain it to you. Nico, thanks for all the information, bud. So there you have it. Now that I finally explained to the ostrich what the fuck I'm trying to say, I hope you viewers can understand it a lot better. But if you don't, write in a comment. Write in a question. I'll be happy to explain it to you. Yeah. So we hope you liked this episode. Thank you again for chiming in. We got plenty more stuff to talk about in the near future. That's a wrap.